All right, so week 1 of my 15-week training vlog. So I'll be putting out weekly videos, trying to get better at this whole social media game, because I'm a perfectionist and I'm trying to make it perfect before I actually do it. That's not how I'm going to get better. So starting off, this was 3 days after my competition that qualified me for nationals. My hip was unbelievably mad, so I bottom end ranged all of the lifts. So I started off working on some technical snatches, trying to focus on pushing through my whole foot, as I tend to shove my knees under and get behind the bar as I transition around the knee. And then the deficit snatch deadlift and floating snatch extension is going to be working on that same thing. Even on these, I tended to try and pull forward, and I almost fell forward on one of the lifts. Then after that, I'm working on just some overhead strength, so some snatch push press plus snatch balance. This is actually one of my weakest movements. I had a lot of wrist injuries and shoulder injuries when I was developing as an athlete, so these always kind of fell on the back burner. So I'm going to try and build these back up, try and get close to like a 150 over this year. Then I worked on some pause back squats. These feel a lot better on my hips and my knees, as after my double knee surgery last year, I really tend to shift onto one side, so the pause helps me with that. So day 2 is going to be a clean focus day, so we're just trying to build up a bunch of volume in this accumulation block. So it'll be some block power clean plus power jerk. The power jerk just working on a bit more vertical of a dip and drive, as I tend to dip forward and then drive the bar a little bit forward off my shoulders. So using that to just try and reinforce a little bit better posture through the dip and drive. From there, I start working on just getting a bunch of cleans around the 130. So I got a couple triples at 130, and then my hip, same as Monday or day 1, wasn't feeling super good, so it wasn't enjoying the bottom of the squat. And so a big volume clean day, I'll tell you what, did not feel great. But we got in, we got it done, and then we got into some doubles. So we did 2 doubles at 140. Which felt pretty good. The hips still didn't like it, but they moved really well. And then finally finished off with a couple 150 singles after that. The 150s felt very heavy, which you can kind of see in the second one, where the stand-up was a little slow, kind of tipped me forward a little bit before I stood up. Then making sure we're still focusing on pushing through the whole foot, we did some no-foot clean pulls, just at 160, which every time I do pulls, feel 10 times heavier than when I do the clean itself. Day 3 is going to be a jerk focus day with a little bit of snatch accessory. So we're using a hang snatch just to get a little bit more volume in the snatch without loading the floor too much, as I got a lot more volume in the strength work. So these were actually supposed to be hang power snatch plus hang snatch, but my hip was feeling it after 2 days. So we stayed at 100 kilos, as well, 100 to 110 range for a hang power plus hang snatch. But, you know, some days be like that. I almost fall forward on this second rep on the second set. And I was like, oh my gosh, my legs are absolutely toasted. from there, we start to move into our jerk work. So like I was saying, on the clean focus day with the power jerks, we're just trying to work on getting a little bit straighter of a dip. So we're using a tempo jerk dip plus jerk. We did 8 singles at 140 that day, and my legs were tired. So I was really struggling to actually load them into the split. So my back leg was really straight, just as I wanted to unload. And it's a lot easier when you catch with straight legs. But the technique is a lot worse. It's a lot forward. My background's a lot more in that position. So next, my masochistic coach, which also happens to be me, did a front squat triple at 150. My legs still being very tired, so you see me getting pulled forward quite a lot in these. It's supposed to be RP8, probably RP8. Then I gave myself 2 down sets of 5s, which my back was just really tired for. But we in there, getting it done. Day 4 is going to be our snatch and clean and jerk session. So we start off with a bunch of triples between 100 and 110. So I took 100, then 105, then went to 110. But I got very distracted when I saw Brandon show up 2 hours before his session. So you can see me kind of look over, and it was just rough. And then I missed the second one, drop it, look at him, and he's like, "Why the fuck did you miss that?" And I was like, "Well, because I suck, and sometimes we suck." Then I got back, did another 110 triple. Felt pretty heavy, but we got it done, and then moved on to a 115 double, then a 120 double, which felt pretty good. From there, we were moving into clean and jerk, so I had 8 singles at 140. These didn't feel too bad, but I was supposed to pause in the split on every rep, and I think I only paused in the split on 1, and just really struggled to get my back knee down, which has been one of the problems of my dip being a little bit forward and driving it forward, and just not trusting my back knee down into the dip or the split. So what I'll be working on the next couple weeks is forcing that knee to drop down, pausing the split a little longer, and making sure that that knee and that hip feel safe to let me go down there. the last day is just a snatch, clean and jerk accessory session with just a bunch of strength work. We started off with some no feet snatches. This is just going to be working on keeping that balanced foot pressure as I lift through that transition. Then for the clean and jerks, we're back to that first pull to hip plus lift. So we're using that to try and drive the balanced foot pressure again. These are both going to be a little bit lighter exercises, so it's only 100 kilos and then 130, just as a technique day as we just keep that maintenance of skill moving forward. If I do a hang snatch plus snatch, does my turnover get faster and get snappier? And then I get to assess whether or not the snatch gets